Hey, welcome everyone. It's Ned from Caspio. Welcome to our latest Caspio Live episode. I hope that you can hear me okay. If you can, let me know. I'm just going to close my taskbar. Automatically hide that. Yeah, let me know if you can hear me okay so that we can begin today's live stream. And this I will close. Go. You can hear me? Hey, Judith. Thanks for the confirmation. Hey, Stability. I'm looking forward to it as well. Hey, Steven. Good to see you. Today's Caspio Live, unfortunately, we have to start with the low, and then we're going to end with the high. When I mean by low is that we have to fix a slight inaccuracy from our last week's session. And the inaccuracy is on my end. I didn't foresee something until I was told in an email when somebody tried to implement the instant filtering. If you guys recall, I came up with the solution to do an instant filter based on the input without the need of having a filter button. However, the issue here is if you have a lot of records and you have pages where you only display, let's say, 15 or 20 records at a time, it's not going to search through the entire table. It's only searching on the client side what's visible on the front end. So all the data that you have in front of you. So if you look on page 2, I have let's say Macy, right? And we go back to page 1. If I try to filter out Macy, it's not going to show that entry unless I list all the records on the same page, which you can, but it's limited up to 999 records. So if you have 10,000 entries or even more, the solution is not going to work. So if you have a small data set, this will work perfectly. Or if you go with initial search function to filter down the results, then you can use this filtering capability. However, I haven't given up. I'm still trying to find a feasible workaround for this. I was even considering emulating the search by having a hidden filter button up here. So to allow the JavaScript to have a timer, so as you're inputting, maybe wait like half a second or a second for your input, and then automatically filter so you don't have to click on that search button that's hidden. So I'm trying to come up with a good solution because I can't access the server side to pull the records from the entire table and be visible here on the front end, on the client side. So I'll come up with something. Hopefully I can come up with something that works just as well. But I haven't given up yet. Okay, so that's one thing that I wanted to point out. I don't know if anybody tried to implement this in their applications. Sounds a little. Oh, that's because I'm using a different headset. I have two of the same headsets. Give me 1 second. Okay, you should be able to hear me much better now. Thanks for pointing that out. I use one headset for recording videos on my Mac, and I have my desktop PC here. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so hopefully everyone heard what I said about the previous live stream, how the filtering capability, instant filtering capability, only functions on what's visible on the first page that you have. But I will do my best to come up with a workaround. Really unfortunate. I was really bummed about that. Even before I finished reading the email that came to me, I knew exactly what the issue was going to be. When I built that, I only had 10 records. I didn't have multiple pages. I didn't realize that until it was brought up to me. Anyway, so that's one thing I wanted to address before we begin today's live stream. And the second thing that we're going to talk about today is how to build this grant management type application. We have received a lot of requests from nonprofits regarding grants. So I wanted to create something that will, in a way, kill two birds with one stone. One, we have the live stream to show how to build that application. And two, if anybody who's coming to Caspio wanting to build something like that, we have this video available for them to check out. Now, you may not have a need for this use case, but you could take away certain functionalities from this application, which I'll make it available as a download. You can't download the whole entire application. Just grab whatever you need from that application, and then you can remove it from your account afterwards. So let's see. The whole premise of this application is to have nonprofits submit a proposal for a grant. And then we have, in the staff or the office, we have reviewers who can log in and be able to provide scores and comments for these proposals. And then we have an admin level user who can, make the final approval and either award that grant or decline it based on what the reviewers are saying. For the other organization, okay, excellent. Glad to hear. A Truman Show. Yeah, that's funny. It's one of my favorite movies. Only because I'm a big fan of Jim Carrey. So. All right, so let's take a look at the live example of this application. So we have applicants that can log in, but the applicants can also self-register as a nonprofit. I can fill out some information here, my contact info, we have the organization info, and then at the end we have the account info. I mimicked or I copied a form that I found online. I don't know if these are the exact fields that you would typically see on a form like that, but yeah, the 501c3 will definitely be a part of it. Contact info, organization info, and in the end, you set up your account as a nonprofit. Once you sign up, you're going to be able to log in. So let's log in as my sample contact from this nonprofit. Nonprofit.org, not .com. That's my mistake. So once we log in, we should be able to manage our proposals. So we have 2 proposals submitted. 1 has been approved. 1 is new. The one takeaway for everyone in today's live stream, because a lot of you are seasoned vets when it comes to using Caspio, is how to have 2 different links, but based on the status, if it's been submitted for approval or not yet, we have a different link showing up here. One link will take you to a read-only page, and the other one will take you to an edit. Because I haven't really made my final submission, I'm still working on this proposal. I have a status as draft, so when I click on it, you can see I can still edit my proposal, and then I can submit it for review if I'm ready for the admin to approve my application or not. And then the other one here, if I go back to manage proposals, different link is displayed because this has been submitted for approval. So if I click on that link, you can see how it's read-only, and then I can see what the reviewers have said about my proposal or my application. And then based on this information that you see down here, the admin level user is going to review that information and be able to award that grant or decline it. So let's log in as, let's sign out. Oh, one more thing. So as a nonprofit, I can create a proposal. So if I want to submit a new proposal, I can fill out this form. And then once I do that, I'll be able to see it listed here under Manage Proposals. So let's sign out. Let's log in as staff. Now for staff, I'm using a single login screen. We talked about this before where we can have different roles using the same login screen. And based on my credentials, once I log in, I'm taken to a different interface or different URL. Okay, it's just using a little bit of script to redirect the user based on their credentials. So if I log in as, let's say, the reviewer, who is Molly Baker. So we'll say Molly Baker at reviewer.com. I can see all of the proposals here that have been submitted for review. Obviously, I'm not going to see the draft. Okay, we don't get to see that until the applicant has checked that box and said, review my application. So I only see the ones that have been submitted. I go to details, and here I can, as a reviewer, I can submit my review, my score, my comments. I hit submit, and I can see that underneath. Now, you guys have seen me use that modal pop-up so many times in these live streams. If you wanted to, you could do something like that where you see a button, opens up a form in the middle, and you submit that review. Okay. This time around, I went with something simple with less coding. So we just embed the form into our page. And upon submission, I'll be able to see that entry. So that's really it for the reviewer. I don't think we need to see anything else except for the details of the proposal so that we can provide the review. And then finally, as the admin level user, let's log in as Sarah Fowler at admin.com. We can also manage proposals. We can filter based on the grant status, approved, declined, new, pending. We can see how many reviews were left. We can see if it's a new or approved. So if this is a new one that was submitted by John, this hasn't really been submitted for review yet. Let me just close that. But I should still be able to see even the draft, in my opinion, as an admin level user. Even if the applicant has submitted a draft, we should be able to track everything. Okay. so that we can review what's happening within the application. So let's say this was submitted for review. We're going to get some replies from the reviewers, and then we can go into the details, and then we can say, okay, well, for this grant, we're declining it, approving it. And then we could also go take this a step further and send an email to the applicant, to the nonprofit, to let them know if their proposal was denied, approved, rejected, canceled, whatever other status you might have. So a very simple application. This actually took 2 days to develop, but not 2 full days. I would say maybe 4 hours per day. So if I calculate that, it's really going to be 1 full business day that it would take to develop this whole entire workflow. So let's review it. As you guys know, we don't actually build the application in this live stream. We're going to go over the application, and then I'm going to make this available as a download in the description. And then you can learn from that. You can take whatever you need from that application for your own use cases, and then you can remove it if you no longer want it. But the application has 6 tables. So let's take a look at the database schema so that you understand the relationships. Shouldn't be too bad. We really have 4 main tables here. So we have the table of users, we have the staff or admin level user, and we have the reviewer inside the same table. We have the reviews. So a reviewer can leave a review, so we want to stamp that ID inside the reviews table. For what proposal? And the proposal is generated by the applicant, the nonprofit. So you sign up as an applicant, you log in, and then you can create the proposal. So we stamped the applicant ID inside the proposals table. Okay, so we have a classic many-to-many here because once one reviewer can have many reviews, okay, for many proposals, but then one proposal can be reviewed by many reviewers. Okay, so we have a classic middle table here that joins the 2 parent tables inside this 1 child table. So very simple workflow, nothing too complicated is happening here. I'm going to go down to my views so that you can see. We have 4 different views here. We have the one for active applicants to filter out active applicants because there's a checkbox in that table to make applicants active or inactive. Then we have the filter admin. So inside that staff table, we have the admins, we have the reviewers. So we have 2 different views to filter out both. And I also have 1 view that's filtering both admins and the reviewers. Okay, because we're going to use that view to connect that with our single login screen. So it's giving access to everyone, but then each individual data page is going to be authenticated using the view just for that specific role. So speaking of authentications, let's go down here. You're going to see 4 different authentications. This one here is the main one for the staff and the reviewers, or for the admins and the reviewers. Okay, so this is going to initially give access to both the admin level user and the reviewer. But once they log in through that initial login screen, that single login screen that we see, we also need to have the authentication just for the admin and just for the reviewer, because all the data pages are going to be authenticated based on these 2 authentications. This is just for the initial login screen, because you want to give access to both the reviewer and the admin. But each individual data page should only be accessed by that specific role. And then finally, we have the applicant authentication. Okay. So next, let's go into our data pages and let's take a look and see what we have here. So I think we have, how many? Maybe, let me open this folder down here as well. Maybe 15 data pages all in all. So the first one I always begin with is the a public facing form. So this is applicant registration, which on the front end, it's simply when you go to as applicant, you can say create an account. So we have a public facing registration form. So that would be that data page right there. And it's a submission form based off of my applicants table. I move my fields that I need to include on my registration form. I have a hidden field here for account login, and by default, I have that checked because as soon as my applicants or nonprofits sign up, I want them to be able to log in right away. Okay? We don't want to disrupt any of the flow, right? Because I don't want now as a nonprofit to have to wait for the admin level user to approve my login before I can log in. Okay? But if you have a different reason where you want to have that somebody as a gatekeeper to prevent people from logging in for whatever reason at the beginning, you're obviously welcome to leave that unchecked. And then you have to manually check them as soon as you see the information that comes in. You have to check their account, and now they're going to be able to log in. All right, so that's our registration form. Then we have the applicant login that's going to redirect. So one line of script. Okay, so as soon as the applicant logs in, we redirect them to this page called manageproposals.html. So as soon as I log in as the applicant, we go to this page, manageproposals.html. And on that page, I have this data page to manage proposals. So let's take a look at this one. I think this is probably the most exciting one that you guys will find helpful. So under applicants, we have manage proposals. So that's a tabular format. We have the applicant authentication. We want them to be able to see just their own proposals. So we need to set RLS here. We're searching based on these fields. And then on the results page, I have my HTML block, and we have just a little bit of script here to choose which hyperlink we want to display. So we have submitted for review, and we have draft. If I remove that script, if I delete that on the front end, you're going to be able to see draft, and you're going to see submitted for review next to it. Underneath that, you will see draft, and again, submitted for review side by side, both of these two links. However, what the script is doing is first we define the variable. So I have a unique name for my variables here, submitted link and draft link. Get the element by ID. And each one of my hyperlinks, you can see I have a unique ID created. So ID for this top hyperlink and an ID for the second hyperlink. Okay, so we're basically just getting that ID from both of the links. And then if submission status equals to yes, so this is a checkbox field. If it's checked, the submitted link style, so the submitted link, which is this one here. Okay, so that's for the submitted. So that's submitted for review, which means display inline, and then draft link style display none. So if you read that correctly, you will see that the submitted link will be displayed and the draft link will not be displayed if it's submitted for review, which makes sense because if it's submitted for review, I don't want to display the draft link. Or else the opposite. Okay, so if it's no, that's basically what that means. If it's no, then submitted link will not be displayed and the draft link will be displayed. That's what the script is doing. So this will be available as a download too. And then you can just pull this out and use it in your application if you want to have something like that where we go to a data page that's modifiable and then we have a data page that's read only. Okay. Let me see if I have any questions here coming in. Do you have anything in place so a person can have more than one login? Let me think for a second. Do you have anything in place so a person can have more than one login? I'm trying to, if you can elaborate a little bit more on that question, Judith, let me know. If a person can have, I'm just trying to, sorry, I'm thinking in my head here to see how to answer that question best. If you can give me like a workflow example of why you would want something like that, that would help me visualize it a little bit better. I don't want to have multiple accounts for one person. In this case, if you have something like that, I don't think I'm doing that here. Am I doing that in this example? Because we have the applicants who can log in, see their own data, but they're not a staff member, so they can't log in as a staff employee or as a reviewer. So I think it comes down to the view in terms of how you filter based on the role in the table. Because you can have a unique role just for the, let's say the CEO, and then you have a view that's filtering just the CEO's information, and then you have the login for the CEO. who's going to have more functionality, let's just say. Yeah, if you can do me a favor, let's take this offline, Judith. You can send me an email. Feel free to do that. Here's my email. You might already have it, but I'm going to send it anyway. If you would just send me a quick workflow and what you're thinking, then I can give you a more precise answer to that question. Okay? Let me know what you're thinking in terms of workflow, and then I can come up with maybe even the table structure for you so that you know how to set that up. Okay? Yeah, just let me know if that works for you. Sometimes I tend to I have a tendency to overthink, even though it could be something simple. But if you give me like a nice visual and just explain it a little bit more detailed, then yes, I will be able to give you a more precise answer. Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's the script. Now, you can also accomplish this using standard features. Okay, but I think, in my opinion, this is a little bit cleaner to have just a unique link based on the capability on the subsequent screen to be able to edit or read only. But you could have, let's just say, maybe 2 different data pages, maybe even on separate tabs. Let's call this one drafts, and let's call this one submitted for review. So you have 2 separate links. On this page, you have a data page that gives you all of the drafts that you can edit. But on this URL, you have the data page that gives you all the ones that are read only. Okay, but this saves you a little bit of work. Okay, but if you wanted to not use the JS for your solution, it's definitely something that's achievable using standard features. Okay, all right. Let's see. So we talked about create proposal as a nonprofit. So that's just a simple form. On this form, you can see we're using some rules. So if I do finally submit this for review, let's say I filled out maybe just a project name and I say submit for review. It's not going to let you submit that form because we have fields that are required. So this is conditional based on the checkbox to prevent the nonprofit for submitting something to the admin and the reviewers that's incomplete. We want to make sure we enforce that the form is completed. So that's why we have a conditional rule here to check. If the checkbox is checked, make all the other fields required. So if I look at that data page on the Caspio side, let's cancel that. Create proposal. Here's that data page. It's a simple submission form. Here are all my fields. There's my checkbox at the very bottom, but I'm using rules to make sure that if the submission status checkbox is checked, you can see I'm making all of these other fields required. Okay. And I've used this capability quite a few times in my applications. Let's see what else we have. So let's sign out as the applicant and let's sign in as the reviewer. So staff. Also, by the way, the staff link that you see up here, normally you wouldn't have this part of your website. Now you could have it, but this link here for staff to log in, you can just bookmark that and then you can remove this from your main navigation menu because that link can be accessed by your internal staff. There's really no need for you to make that available as part of your main navigation menu. The applicants, however, yes, because you want applicants, new nonprofits to sign up, so you make that available for your website visitors. But because it's easier for me during my demo to include the link, I don't want to bookmark that separately, so that's why I make it part of my main navigation menu. So now let's log in as the reviewer, Molly Baker. And we have just one data page here to see the proposals. And then under details, we have the proposal details. We have a form to submit the review. And then we can also see the reviews that we have submitted and that all the other reviewers have submitted as well. So under the reviewers folder, we have 4 different data pages. Okay, first one is to review the proposals. Okay, which is the one over here on the main page, to review proposals. We have an HTML block that takes me to this page called viewproposal.html. And on this page, we have 3 different data pages deployed. So we have the details of a proposal, where we receive the proposal ID. Okay. And this is all standard features in Caspio. And by the way, if you're new to the live stream, These live streams are a little bit more technical, slightly more advanced. It's really designed for customers who come back to these live streams to learn new things. So if you're brand new to Caspio, if you never used the platform before, you ideally want to take on our training sessions first to learn all of these basic fundamental things in Caspio. But I speed through these live streams because we already covered that in our complimentary training sessions that we offer on our website. So just to point that out, if you go under resources, free online training, we will teach you all of these things in the basic, intermediate, and the advanced sessions. You just have to sign up for a specific class or time and date, learn it, including parameters. Okay, and then you can come back to these live streams and things are going to make a little bit more sense. So we receive that parameter for our details page in order to filter out the details of that proposal. Okay, and then we have our submission form. So let's take a look at that as well. The submission form is going to be submit a review. This is going to receive two different parameters, one the external parameter via the URL, and the other one is the authentication method because we need to stamp the reviewer's ID. So here we have the score that we can enter, our comments, and then the reviewer ID, which is using the authentication method. Okay, right? So if I submit the review, as a reviewer, I need my review ID to be stamped inside the reviews table because the admin level user needs to know who was the reviewer to provide that score and those comments. And then proposal ID, we need to link the review to the proposal, right? Makes sense. And then we have the date submitted. So that's our submission form. And last but not least, we have view reviews, which is also going to receive the proposal ID. Okay. In order for me to, see the reviews that are associated or linked to this proposal, I pass the proposal ID from the results page, and then here in the reviews, I'm able to filter out those reviews based on that proposal ID. So that's why we once again receive the proposal ID. And then you can lay out this page however you want. I have score, comments, reviewer ID, and date submitted. The reviewer ID you can see on the front end is the actual name because in Caspio, when you connect the two tables together, we can choose to display the name from the parent table inside the results page. Okay. All right. The final data page we're going to look at today. So let's sign out and let's log in as Sarah, who happens to be our admin. Okay, so we have similar looking tabular report. We can go into our details, and in the details page, I can see all the reviews that have come in from the reviewers, and I can also now, in the details page, change the status of that grant. So let's just take a look at the admin proposal details. It's all set up basically the same way. You can see the proposals in the tabular report. Once you click on the details link, you see the proposal details, and then you can see the reviews that are linked to that details page. So let's take a look at the proposal detail. Really, the only change here is in the details page, you can see how my grant status field is a dropdown. So I turn that into a dropdown so that on the front end, I can see my dropdown and I can change the status. Can this be cleaned up to look much better? Yes, absolutely. You guys have seen some of my previous applications in terms of the aesthetics and how things look on the front end. Yes, you can make this look much nicer. The whole point of today's live stream is really just to get through all the functionality so that you can see how something like this can be created. And can you also modify this application for a different workflow? Yes. If this isn't the exact workflow that you need, you can remove fields, you can add fields, you can even have completely different functionality if needed. You don't really have to build it the way I did. That's the nice thing about Caspio. You're free to do and build however you want based on your own use case and your own particular needs. Okay. Let me take a look. I'm like, maybe doesn't want to have a logout to see everything in different views accounts, correct? I don't know. We can bring this up next week. if Judith, I'll email you, Judith. But usually, what I like to do, if this is something that I find worthwhile, like your question, I think if it's beneficial to more people, I like to bring these questions back into our live stream and explain them, so others can learn from it. But I will, verify with you via email to see if you're okay with that. I'm not going to use your exact example and your own use case, what you're developing. Hey, Tracy, welcome back. I haven't seen you in a while. Maybe you have been here, but you haven't said anything, but nice to see you again. But going back to what I was saying, Judith, so if you want me to, I can include this in the live stream as well, so you can see how it's done, or I can just work with you via email more of a one-on-one basis so that you and I can get through it. But yeah, I will get your approval before I bring this into the live stream. Okay. Thanks, Stability. Always nice to see you. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. That was the grant management application. I just came up with a very simple template that I downloaded off the internet. It's not a fancy looking template by any means. It's just a simple front end. And then we embed our Caspio application to these web pages. Sounds good. Thank you, Judith. All right, let me know if you have any questions. I hope that you enjoyed today's live stream. We kept it short, I think, 30 minutes. Oh, by the way, next week, I think it's going to be a very exciting live stream for those who have a need for a feedback button. And I'm going to create this feedback button that you can position either on the left-hand side or the right-hand side. You've seen this before, I'm sure you have. So when you hover over, the feedback button is going to look like it comes out a little bit. And then when you click on it, we have a modal rating form in the middle here, which will have a star rating that you can select for your website visitors to give you feedback if there's something wrong with your website. And you can use that for external applications or internal applications. And I'm going to package everything as a one complete solution. So you don't have to do anything else, but take a snippet of code if you need it and paste it across all of your web pages if you want to. And then when people submit the form, you're going to be able to pull the destination URL where the feedback is coming from, and then you can see a dashboard layout of how people feel about your website. So if you have a need for something like that, we're going to look at that next Monday. I'll show you how it was created. It'll definitely use low code, okay? So the reports, charts, and all of that will be no code with Caspio's data pages, but the button that when you hover over, it extends out a little bit. The modal pop-up, you guys are aware of that. That's using some JavaScript and HTML. But I'm going to try to build it to be a really nice and complete solution so that you can take it and use it if you want to for your own needs. Where do I find your code again? Which code are you referring to, Judith? Thanks, Lucas. Glad to hear that you're going to be able to make use of this. So just give me, let me see, the time is 10:34. Give me about an hour and I'll make this application available as a download in the description of the YouTube video. So if you come back to the YouTube video in about an hour, you'll see the link to download it in the description, as I always do for all of our previous live streams. So I just need 1 hour to package it all together and make it available. Okay. And it's not me trying to get more views on the YouTube video. It's funny. I was just thinking about that. No, I'm not trying to get you guys to come back to increase the view count on the YouTube video. It's just I still have to polish this up a little bit and put it in an environment where I can grab the download link and all of that. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Thanks, Judith. Let's see, perfect could be a feedback app used for various sites and clients. Yeah, absolutely. So you can use it for your own applications or your clients' applications if you want to. But it's going to be a very simple app. It won't have too many data pages. So it's just the idea is to click on the feedback button. You get your feedback to come in, and then you have a separate link where you can log in and see a dashboard page of how people feel about your website so you can take action. You can be proactive about it. Let's see. When do you think you will be able to give us feedback regarding the UI control of searching more than one page? So you can email me directly, Lucas, if you want to get an update. I was going to bring it up next week on Monday. Usually I provide updates every Monday for the live stream. But if you want something faster, send me an email as a reminder so that I can email you back and let you know if I come up with something before then. Also, speaking of the live stream, we are going to be moving it. I haven't set the date yet, but I'm considering maybe end of April to move the live stream for Wednesday. I did receive quite a few emails from people wanting to move the live stream from Monday to Wednesday. So we're going to end up switching it probably at the end of April. Okay, so hopefully that's not going to create any kind of inconvenience for you. I know that we've had the live stream on Mondays for quite some time now. But I think this will benefit more people because Mondays tend to be fairly busy. So hopefully I'll still see you guys on Wednesdays. Wednesday works? Okay, perfect. Glad to hear it. I know on Friday people check out on Fridays. Wednesday seems to be like the sweet spot, right in the middle. Mondays tends to be busy. Even for me, Mondays are super busy. And then by Wednesday, it'll be better for me too, actually. All right, I won't keep you any longer. Thank you so much for coming back to my live streams. I do appreciate your time. Without you coming back, there will be no live stream. So the live stream heavily depends on your attendance. So I do appreciate it. And a lot of times you can just join the live stream. You don't have to be present. You can work on other stuff, and then you can watch the video at a later time on our YouTube channel. So your attendance is critical to live stream going on, basically. Staying alive. All right, thank you so much. Have a good rest of your week, and then we will see you next Monday for our feedback button and how we collect feedback from our end users and able to take proactive action on what they're saying. I've been watching the videos and I just couldn't get away to watch the labs live on Monday until now. As always, great info you present. Wednesdays will be great, Ned. Thanks. Okay, perfect. Glad to hear it. That was impeccable timing for you to show up. That we're going to be moving the live stream to a different day. So thank you again so much. I won't keep you any longer. I'll keep the chat running for a few more minutes for any last minute questions, but I will close the live stream. And yeah, we'll see you in a few days. Take care. Bye-bye.